Mm, 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 mm. I am back. I'm back. Good grief. This last episode, I gotta ask before I get started. Did you see what I saw? Because I saw a lot in the last episode. It kind of cut off on me. So I'm just going to continue. This is episode 1.5 through 2. I almost couldn't say that. But anyway, guys, Andy's outfit in the opening. Okay? Fierce. Fierce. Her outfit is screaming fly. I'm sure you all know that she is pregnant in real life and she should be about ready to pop. But she is pregnant in real life. But that outfit that she had on, baby, it was so nice. It was the top. I'm glad that they switched it up just a little bit. Now, you guys, if you listen to the first episode, I know you're like, okay, my girl's slipping. I am. I forgot to say something. I forgot to talk about somebody. And I know there's somebody that's listening that's like, yep, you sure did. I forgot to talk about Robin. What happened to Robin? Did he die in a plane crash? He never even got on the plane that day. On the last episode, he was like, okay, it looked like he had changed his mind. I gotta go back in. Because I could be way off. But I thought that he changed his mind about leaving. Somebody please let me know in the comments. But at any rate, I'm almost sure that he didn't leave. And that it looked like he was coming back for Andy. I feel off, but I think I know what I'm talking about. But where was he? Where's Robin to save the day? Where was Robin? Robin should have been showing up at least to the hospital some kind of way, found out some kind of way, talk to Fatima or somebody. I could be off. I want to need somebody to let me know. Let me know if I'm off because I think I saw what I saw. I think I did. I could be off. Somebody needs to correct me. Correct me. Anyway, let's get into it. This episode, Do No Harm. I'm looking at my notes because you know I'm slow. This episode was definitely good. It was good. And I saw some realism in the topic. I saw a little bit of realism. And I know that a lot of times Tyler incorporates some real life situations in his shows. And that's what I kind of like about him. Just the real life stuff. Some of this stuff is far-fetched, is all the way out there, and it tries to seem real, but moving forward. Anyway, let's get into it about this episode. Andy and Zach got caught in traffic on the way to get to Karen because they finally retrieved the messages that that Fatima, if I say Fatima, y'all just ignore me, excuse me, because you know how I do. Usually Tamika's here to correct me, but so y'all should know. Anyway, moving on. So they get the messages and they are off and running to the hospital, off and running, nail biting nervous, caught in Atlanta traffic. Now we know that there's a blackout. At this point, we might as well just call it a brownout for real because the hospital looked like it was in and out. But anyway, moving back to Andy and Zach in traffic. I like the way when they were getting the information about Karen, how the scenes were done, how it was like that conversation or that message was going to everybody. I loved how that was done. Loved it. But anyway, so Andy and Zach are on the way to the hospital, nail biting, nervous. People are blowing horns and all that good stuff. So then you hear a collision, and it looks like that was Danny and Sabrina. And it was funny because Maurice was on the phone. He was trying to help, but he really wasn't helping. But anyway, so Danny comes up to Sabrina and talks to her at the car, like, okay, what's going on? But anyway, so she beats them to the hospital, however it goes. Maurice was trying to be there, but you know how Maurice is. Maurice, he has no filter. You guys, I am looking at notes. You got to excuse me because I don't want to leave out not one detail at all. I love how Fatima was so good to Karen under the circumstances, but she always has been. And anytime Fatima ever popped, she was pushed. She never came in any of the situations on 10. She was pushed. She was very calm. And I've learned a lot from her. I'm not a firecracker per se. I can be, but kind of like Fatima, I'm kind of calm and I'll go there when you need me to get there to you. But anyway, I really liked how she handled the situation with Karen. I'm trying to stay on mic. I don't know what's going on, but I like the way she handled the situation. I was really ready for her to cuss the nurse out. I was ready for it. So ready for it. But the nurse just didn't seem to care. Now they make it to the hospital. Let me go back. They make it to the hospital through that traffic jam. Karen is not doing well. She's not doing well. She needs help. Okay, she needs this help. The nurse is determined not to give it to her. And she was fearless. She didn't care what nobody said. She acted like she had armor around her, like nobody could do anything to her. I was wishing that Danny would get her together. Because if anybody was going to get her together, it would have been Fatima and Danny. I was looking forward to that. But let me say this before I go all off into the story. What was with Danny's pants? Oh my God. I did not like them. The dress was speaking, but these pants, they were screaming. Didn't care for those. But anyway, guys, y'all got to excuse me. Let me say this in all honesty. I was so emotional when Karen was in pain. Karen can act. I believe her real name is Ebony, but she can really act. And she took it there with the facial expressions. She took it there. She really took it there. She did a very good job of evoking emotion. She did. That's the writer in me. She did a really good job. They kept saying 2 visitors, and they do 2 visitors. I've been in situations where they did 3 in the room, but they said 2 visitors. So when they said that, everybody left the room, okay, but everybody turned right back and came back in after the nurse left. Lisa was ready for war. And I get it. I love Lisa. I love her so much. She was ready for war as a mom. I don't know if I could have been as calm as Lisa was. Calm, yes, but saying more words. Yeah. I would not have been able to leave my child's side, but I like the way she gave off a little bit of distance and a little bit of caring so that other friends could play a part in all of this. I like that. But what just stuck out to me, how she kept Aaron with her. Like, okay, Aaron, let's go. Okay, we're going back in. Aaron was always there with her. And if you look at it, Aaron was the one that she would kind of gravitate towards when Karen was pregnant. Well, Karen is still pregnant, but at least she was in this episode. But anyway, she kind of gravitated. Like when Karen needed somebody to care for her, or when Lisa felt that she needed somebody to care for her to keep her off her feet, she would call Aaron. So what's that about? If you just look at how closely they were, just shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder. So I'm wondering what that's all about, why she feels the need to just kind of pull him out of the way and to pull him along. I don't know. I picked up on that more than ever today. I really did. But anyway, let me get back into my notes. Okay, Lisa asked, just said, come on, Aaron, let's go. But Zach could stay? Was it because Zach had just gotten there? I don't know. I guess Karen had a right to have support of both of the dads. But it stuck out to me again. So we'll see what that's all about because it's going somewhere. It means something. Okay. Y'all know I love clothes. I love pleats. I love darts. I love collars. That outfit, the outfit that Sabrina had on. Now let me just say this about me loving darts, colors, pleats. If you go onto my website, everythingdoors.com, you can see some of the garments that I have made. It needs to be updated. But if you look at some of the things that I've made, you'll understand, okay, she does love darts, pleats, and collars. Like, that is my thing. That outfit Sabrina had on, I loved it. I didn't care for the purse because it was a little immature. She was supposed to be carrying a tote or a duffel or something, but that little purse. But anyway, the outfit was adorable. I love the colors, and it was perfect for her body type. Most of her outfits are. Most of her outfits are perfect for her. I just loved it. I needed to put that in there. Moving forward, looking at my notes. Zach said something that was so sweet. He talked about how he should have gotten Karen some balloons or something. He might have said or something, but he said balloons as a bit of a push gift. I just learned what push gifts are about a year ago when the Brat and Judy, if you all are not familiar with the Brat, is a rapper. She's really hot in the mid 90s to maybe mid 2000. But she had a baby. But when she was pregnant, her partner bought her a push gift. It wasn't just any push gift. It was a car. But anyway, a push gift could be anything. A push gift could be a roll of pennies, depending on the relationship and the way the person might feel and perceive things. But anyway, this push gift thing was just, that would have been, it was just the fact that he thought of something like that. It was very thoughtful in that time. But anyway, I'm going to get my daughter-in-law a push gift when she's having my new grandchild. I thought that was so special. So Zach, he pulled at my heartstrings when he said that, but it was almost like a person trying to do something for someone that they love or they care about in a time of where they were afraid of what might happen next. And that's what I got from that. The doctor was an idiot, Dr. Cruz. He was a waste of skin because why are you mistreating this woman? And see where they were going with this is how, and I don't want to turn this into a brown and a white thing, but how often brown women, and it's out there, how they are often mistreated and targeted in the hospitals, and it takes for hospital personnel to speak about it. And it's just not, it's not just the workers that are brown that observe this and dislike it. You have white medical care workers, administration, nurses, doctors who see this and they don't like it. But they feel like they have to go through it because of their position, like in the case of Dr. I believe his name was Dr. Vine or Dr. Vine, one or the other, how he felt like he had to, I'm putting this in quotations, stay in his place because he didn't have a seniority of clearly the chief doctor. Now, I'll say this, and I'll get back to who he is, Dr. Vine. He was a resident. And if I'm not mistaken, residents can do just as much as the head doctor can do with permission, but they can do it. If I'm not mistaken, I've had a resident to deliver a child. I know that now a lot of times what they're doing is the doctor's not just rushing into the delivery room. They're going to have that nurse in there that's going to tell you when to push, check your cervix, and see how far along you are to, get into that finish line. I've seen that. Okay, I'm not just talking. I've seen that with my daughter. Well, the nurse was there doing the work and the doctor came in at the last end. But anyway, so they get Dr. Vine in because Dr. Cruz is an idiot. They get him in because they need help. Everybody's trying to get help for Karen. Everybody's looking for some help. And so this Dr. Vine comes in after Dr. Cruz was such an idiot, just being condescending, talking about how she had two fathers with two twins, and he was asking where they were, and he was just very nonchalant and saying that the symptoms that she was experiencing were normal for labor. But anyway, so Dr. Vine comes in, and Dr. Vine he's a round man. Dr. Cruz is not. But anyway, so he comes in and he does he's listening as the nurse does the Well, I don't even know if they can. That wasn't an ultrasound. That was the heart monitor. So they didn't hear two hearts. They just heard one. Now they didn't speak about it offhand, but we could tell that it was just on one side. And so they tried to keep it private, but it was obvious that one of the babies um, is stillborn, will be stillborn, has lost his life in utero. And so Karen's knowing something is wrong. She's been knowing something was wrong from the beginning. And I'll say this, a woman knows. Even if you've never had a baby, you know when something's not right. But anyway, so Karen's adamant that something is not right. She's putting it together that something is wrong with one of the twins. Sabrina then hears Dr. Vine talking to Dr. Cruz about the danger that he believes that Karen is in. Of course, Dr. Cruz, being the a-hole that he is, did not want to hear anything he said, did not care about what was going on, and just was adamant about him having other people to tend to. And so he kind of belittled Dr. Vine. And Dr. Vine was watching himself, but I don't feel like he punked. Now, while this was going on, Sabrina's on the side of the wall, unbeknownst to them, listening. She's taking in all the details of how this baby is stillborn, how Karen may not make it. She needs to have this emergency cesarean. How if she continues to have this baby in utero, that it just makes her sicker. And I believe they said something about it possibly affecting the other baby. Not clear about that, but I think medically, if a baby is in utero for a long period of time after it has deceased, then it could affect the other baby. I could be off. I would have to do some research. Y'all know I'm nosy and I read and I look. But anyway, so Sabrina's hearing this. She's very upset. She goes to tell everybody about it. I broke down. I cried a lot. Okay. Throughout this episode, I was trying to keep it together. Nobody was around, and thankfully I did hear somebody coming down the stairs though. So I had to clean it. I had to clean it up real quick. But it was a lot. And I think that it was the acting. Sabrina and Zach, of course. Zach, he can be very emotionally explosive in a bad way most of the time. But this time, and I was looking at Fatima, just putting myself in her shoes when when Zach found out all the details and possibilities of Karen's situation. Like, was he crying for Karen? Was he crying because of the loss? That was a lot for a partner to take in. If she was thinking that way, because Fatima had to be a mess, seeing everything she saw and having to be the type of support that she was for Karen. But when Zach cried, and Zach was ready for the role, like he was ready for the scene, because when he walked up, it was the way his face was set. It looked like he had dark circles. I could be off. That could have just been because I was so in tune with what was happening. But him crying, he was so hurt. I mean, you got to look at it. This man he was already with Karen for a while. And then for the buildup of this baby, the anticipation. Doesn't matter that he received a son through her pregnancy and Fatima's pregnant. I don't think that I'm still confused. Is she pregnant on sisters or not? I think that I don't know. Of course she didn't look it, but she had on all black. But they probably are still keeping the story separate. And I know one of you you loyal listeners had said something to me about that before, about how they were keeping things separately, but I look at other details that makes you look at it a little bit differently, like with Gary owing Zach the money. But anyway, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But Zach has a lot on his plate. His emotional plate is full. But anyway, I got all away from my notes, y'all. It was getting good. Uh, let's see. I felt like Andy should have said that she was a lawyer and that maybe some heads would have rolled and she could have gotten some better results. Now, Dr. Vine was able to go in and take the case of Karen, but Karen had to say it. I don't know why she just wasn't seeing it. Why it was taking so long? If I was mom, I would have jumped in and been like, you know what? I'm her spokesperson. She said yes. But anyway, so she did motion yes, a handshake, whatever it was. She did motion it. I didn't see her say it, but or hear her say it. But anyway, so he takes over the case. He's very supportive. He's ready to get the ball rolling like a real doctor, would. But anyway, let me go into my notes, y'all. I just knew. I knew that Karen was going to ask for Zach to be in the room. I just knew it. When she was in there with Aaron at one point, I just knew she was going to say, where's Zach? Not that she was really choosing Zach over Aaron, but I think it was like a thing of fairness because she had gotten to such a point where she was no longer bitter or angry. I don't want to call her bitter. I hate the word bitter unless I'm talking about, food that's bitter. But she was no longer angry, but I just knew that she was going to say, okay, where's Zach? Now, she did ask for Fatima to call Zach at some point. I don't know if it was, I think it was right when her water first broke when they were at the house. She said, call Zach. I'm glad she didn't kind of harp on that because that would have made me look at the situation like, okay, what's going on? But Dr. Vine did come and save the day as best as he could. There was no saving it. And I just felt so bad. I'm kind of happy because if you remember Danny and Sabrina, there was not Sabrina, I'm sorry, Danny and Karen, there was a wedge between the two and they talked about it. I was kind of glad that when Karen asked for everybody to leave and for her sisters to stay, which was Andy and Sabrina, I'm kind of glad that Danny was on a smoke break because I feel like their relationship is still in this healing stage, and I wouldn't have felt really convinced about the authenticity of what was happening with Karen, thinking that she was getting ready to go to glory. I know that was just brought on for dramatic purposes, but Karen played that role. She did. Closing my notes, I don't need it now. But anyway, Karen played the role. But anyway, so everybody left the room so she could speak with Andy and Sabrina. And she fears that she's going to die. And so she's asking them to look over. I don't know why. She said the baby's like they're still alive and that there may be a situation where they have to choose between the babies and her, or I don't know if she was just saying one baby, but it sounded like she was saying two. I could be off, but if she was saying two, it could have been because she was that tired, or it could have been because she was in denial. Maybe she knows something that nobody else knows. But that was emotional for me because I saw, of course, Sabrina, she's, she's very sensitive. She's a very Philly person. She's that friend that's going to cry for you over anything that happens. Danny's going to keep you grounded. And if it's too serious, she will kind of pull back, but she's there for you. And Andy is more of the rational and observant one. And so when she was there in the room for a while, if you notice that she was standing in the corner, so she was taking everything in and that she was trying to process it and then walk into it and handle it, like really handle it. So when she was listening to Karen, she really was listening to her. And then she kind of broke down after Karen was just really making her exit there. She was just telling her, you're not going anywhere. You're going to be a great mom. We're going to be there. And I'm not sure if it was on this episode or if it was in the preview, but it looks like she has gone to glory. We know she hasn't, but at this point, at the time that I am recording this episode, Karen is still, she's basically fighting for her life. What it looks like, because she's had the chills, well, you sometimes do vomit in labor, but she's had the chills, she's vomiting, she's bleeding, which bleeding wow, like after your water breaks and just outright bleeding, that's not normal. But she's bleeding and she's really tired. I'm just, I was just concerned that she was, she has an infection because those are, some of those are signs of an infection. So she's cold blue, and we'll see what happens, how they're going to bring Karen back, which baby survived, how the fathers will handle this. Now, from the looks of it, it's hard to say because Zach was crying like he couldn't believe this happened. He could have been crying because his child was lost, or he could have been crying because of the struggle that all this has occurred, that everything has happened. He could be crying for that reason, or that Aaron's baby didn't make it. That would still be painful for him also. Because what they did was they're pulling at our heartstrings because we don't see Aaron crying. We don't see him crying. Zach is the one that we love so much. I'm sure people really love Aaron, but Zach is the one that the spotlight is on. So I don't know, but he and Aaron look to be, they've scrubbed up. They're like showing each other support before they go into the operating room. Now, this is in the next episode. I just saw this in the preview. So I don't know. I'm not going to say nothing negative. I don't want to do it because it's crunch time. It's serious now. Before now, you guys know I had jokes. I was being very sarcastic about this situation, but it has gotten serious. I don't know if it's serious because I'm a mother myself or what. I don't know if it's serious because we saw how emotional the ladies were. But it's coming down to that point, y'all. It's coming down. So in episode 3, guys, we're going to see. We're going to see. I'm getting ready to go. I'm getting ready to go, and I will talk to you guys real soon.